What do you do for an encore after beating the number one team in the country on Sunday? Well, you sweep a Big Ten rival and you sweep the number 14 team in the country. That's just what Northwestern did. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Carter Bird, and thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every single day. We really appreciate it. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. We are also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there. Wherever you're listening, make sure you're subscribed and you turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. Let's jump into this thing because how about those Wildcats coming off a win, a 64-58 win at home against number one Purdue? Northwestern got back on the hardwood at home again, this time against Indiana, who, if you recall, the last time out, in Assembly Hall, we saw Northwestern getting an 84-83 win. So this is going for a season sweep. This was going for a fourth consecutive AP Top 25 win for Northwestern. This is, again, we come back to nothing was expected of this team this year. And yet, here they are. Here they are at this point in time, a chance to take solo second place in the Big Ten. And boy, did they answer the call, at least in the first half. And that's where we're going to start because Northwestern set a tone in this game, set an absolute tone. You got so much production out of really your seniors. When you look at it, you get 11 points out of Boo Buie in that first half, 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 6 of 6 at the free throw line. 4 of those free throws coming by way of a couple technical fouls on Indiana because I think they were upset that there may or may not have been a missed travel on Boo Buie. Well, assistant coach on the bench said something, got teed up, and as the ref was going to the scorer's table to signal the call, Mike Woodson, for some reason, decided to follow him, reach out, grab his arm. And as we all know, you cannot touch a ref in really college basketball or college football, or really anything. And so he got teed up, and it was 1 tee on the bench and 1 tee on Mike Woodson. And 4 technical foul free throws later, Northwestern had some momentum. And we saw them very early in this game build a lead because we saw them score the opening bucket, Chase Audige with a layup, but then you saw Indiana build a 4-point lead, and then came just a run of Northwestern points right around that 14:51 mark. We saw that Indiana had a 3-point lead. Well, you get a layup, a couple free throws, they get a dunk, and then you see the floodgates open as Northwestern goes on a run powered by a couple Chase Audige threes, the 4 Boo Buie free throws, a Ty Berry layup, and a couple Ty Berry free throws. And like that, it goes from an Indiana lead to a Northwestern 13-point lead, 14-0 run right there as Northwestern really, really flustered Indiana. Indiana did not respond well in that first half. They didn't respond to the environment. Like we said, Boo Buie had 11 points in that first half. Chase Audige, 11 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3 in the first half as he got red hot. I believe he had, it may have been 11 of Northwestern's first 13 points or so. But it was a phenomenal performance by him. It wasn't of the first 13, but he had a bunch. He had 2 threes and a layup there early as he was off and running right off the bat. And you love to see that, especially for a guy who struggled to get going in the first half, really the first 30 minutes of the last game against Purdue. He jumps out with 11 points. He grabs a board, couple assists, does have a turnover. Boo Buie had 4 rebounds and a turnover in that first half. Ty Berry, it was not very efficient. He gave you 6 points, 4 of those coming at the free throw line as he went 4 of 4. He went 1 of 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. He had 3 rebounds but in that first half. But, man, his three-point shot is a struggle right now. If he figures it out, we're talking about a guy who could really make an impact as we move forward the rest of this season. Robbie Barron, kind of similar, 3 of 8 from the field, 7 points, 1 of 6 from 3. I believe he missed his first 5. He got a bunch of great looks early. He grabbed a couple rebounds. Nicholson didn't take a shot, but he grabbed 3 boards. I thought he played great defense early. Brooks Barnheiser brought the energy as he does. Martinelli got a layup in there. It was really impressive just the way that you saw how they jumped on this Indiana team. Jalen Hood-Schifino, who went for 30 plus in the first matchup. I believe it may have been 33. Yeah, he went for 33 in the first matchup. He only had 6 points in the first half as Northwestern swarmed him. 3 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. And they turned him over 3 times. He had 0 assists and 3 turnovers. Trace Jackson Davis, who we're going to talk about a lot in this game, he had a slower start too. 1 of 3 from the field, just 5 points. He went 3 of 4 at the free throw line. But he did have 6 rebounds and 2 assists in that first half. He had a couple turnovers, as one of them was he just dribbled off his foot. But you hold this Indiana team in the first half to 6 of 21 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Yes, they go to the line 12 times, but they only make 8. Northwestern goes to line 12 times. They hit all 12 in the first half. Northwestern didn't blow you away numbers-wise, shooting 40.7%, 11 of 27, 5 of 18 from 3, 27.8%. But they were winning the battle on the boards. They had 19 rebounds to Indiana's 15. They only turned it over 3 times in the first half to Indiana's 6. And those better shooting numbers in the first half made a situation where with 34 seconds left, Northwestern had a 21-point lead in the first half. Now Indiana hit a bucket there at the very end to cut it to 19. But you could not ask for a better first half from Northwestern. I mean, riding as high as it gets, just dominance in that first half. Indiana looked flustered. They looked like they were struggling with the environment. They were making some very questionable passes, some very questionable shot selection. You had the 2 technical fouls called. It really was going all Northwestern's way, and you love to see it because of the way what it could mean for this Northwestern team. So they had that 19-point lead going into half, and you're feeling awesome. You really are. We're going to talk about what happened in the second half because vibes were not nearly as good in that second half. But first, we're going to talk about our friends at FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and even threes drained by a player. I mean, it's a great time to do it. I mean, we're right here at the All-Star break of the NBA season. College basketball is really ramping up. We're about to get to conference tournaments. We're wrapping up conference play for most teams. NCAA tournaments right around the corner. All sorts of great ways to get involved with the action over at FanDuel. Plus, FanDuel now even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Also, we want to say thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just worth noting, I guess. I actually make my first appearance on Locked On College Basketball on tomorrow's episode, as I was asked on to come talk about Northwestern because of the waves that are being made, and you love that it's making an impression on a national scale that Northwestern's getting some shine. Andy Patton and I talk about what's been different, really about these last 2 weeks and what Northwestern has rolling. So that's something to look out for tomorrow. Let's jump into the second half because, my goodness, I was so baffled by what was happening in this second half. Well, one, credit where credit's due. Trace Jackson Davis is an absolute monster, but we already knew that, really. We did, but he goes for 18 points in the second half, 6 of 8 from the field, 6 of 7 at the line, and he gets 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and I think he had a couple blocks in the game as well, if I do recall. Yes, he did, as he had, for the second time against Northwestern, both games, he almost had a triple-double, as he was just had a freakish second half performance. And for a while there, it felt like he could not miss. But I mean, he allowed some of the guys on that team to really get rolling. You had Race Thompson scoring some points in the second half. Jalen Hood-Schifino, he gave you 7 points. Race Thompson giving you 9 points. As Indiana was scorching in the second half. I think some of that may have been Northwestern's just breakdowns defensively, because this Indiana team that shot 28.6% in the first half, they were just 6 of 21. In the second half, they go 16 of 24. 3 of 6 from 3 as they started to heat up there after going 0 of 5 in the first half. They go 7 of 8 at the free throw line. Honestly, I'm shocked that they only had 8 free throw attempts. But they really regrouped at half, had a better plan. They executed better. They adjusted to the environment. And their dominance on the glass is truly astounding in that second half. They out-rebound Northwestern in the second half 21-6. I don't think we've seen a disparity that big all year long. Now, they did turn it over 7 times. Northwestern protects the basketball extremely well. They only turned it over 1 time in the second half. Robbie Barron with that 1 turnover. But you get a Northwestern team that there was, I guess you had out the gate, Indiana hits a bucket. Well, Chase Audige comes down and hits a 3. So you wash that out, you're up 20. And then Indiana makes a couple shots. You start missing some shots. But if you were looking at this game, you didn't know the score, or if you knew one team was down 19 at half, and you watched the way these two teams played in the second half, you would have been like, oh, Indiana's the team smoking Northwestern. Look at how they're getting the ball to their big man down low, letting them work. Look how they're getting the ball into the paint and running very competent offensive sets. Look how they're dominating the glass. Then you look at Northwestern, you'd be like, oh, look at this team jacking up 15 threes. They only took 30 shots in the second half, and 15 of them were from 3. You would have thought Northwestern was the team that was down 19. It was truly just, I found myself just scratching my head as I did right there, wondering, what on earth is going on? And nobody was hitting shots. I mean, Chase Audige had some horrible shot selection. He hit that 1-3 to open the half. Then I think he goes 0 for 8 the rest of the half. He misses his next 4 threes. And some of them were awful possessions, like falling to the ground, no chance to hit rim kind of situations. Ty Berry, he only takes 2 shots, but his 3, he gets a 3-pointer. It's honestly a more efficient half for him. He gets 3 points. Chase Audige had 3 points. Robbie Barron has 5 points in that second half. He takes 5 threes and only hits 1 of them. And he goes 2 of 2 at the line. That's your other 2 points for him. But you can't have those 3 guys go 3 of 12 from 3 in the second half when you have a huge lead. That's too many threes, especially when Robbie Barron and Ty Berry have been pretty cold here recently when you look at this Northwestern team. Nicholson, he got a bucket. He went 1 of 2. He had 0 rebounds in the second half. And to me, that's in 12 minutes, that's unacceptable for a 7-footer. He's got to be better on the glass. Titus Verhoeven, he had a clutch basket. He had 2 points, and when you absolutely had to have it, but he's got to grab a board too. He played 8 minutes. Your 2 guys playing the 5 in that second half got you 0 rebounds, and that's just not going to cut it in a game like this when you're playing really good Big Ten teams with really good players down low. Barnheiser, he was 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. Martinelli, who typically is pretty efficient, he went 0 for 1 on his 1 shot. He did grab a rebound, which was better than what you saw out of the 2 big men down low. But it was a total just crapshoot for Northwestern in the second half. There was no flow. Offense looked so difficult. And yet you're saved by one guy. You're saved by one guy, a guy who has been so big, especially in the last few weeks. He's just coming off Big Ten Player of the Week, March Madness Player of the Week, Boo Buie. He was your offense in the second half. You scored 25 points. He had 10 of them. He was 5 of 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. I mean, if he doesn't take threes, he's 5 of 6 from 2 in the second half. He somehow doesn't get to the line at all in the second half with the way that he attacks the paint. But he had a couple boards. He had 4 assists in that second half. In a second half where nobody else on the team could shoot, he had 4 assists. And he was the only reason why Northwestern hung on to this game at all. At all. I mean, it was amazing. Northwestern was going 5, 6 trips down the court without running anything that looked easy offensively. It looked so difficult. And in this same stretch, you have Indiana just scoring, chip it away. And you just get this pit in your stomach like, oh my gosh, Northwestern's about to choke this game away. And it was playing out that way 100%. 100%. It was crazy to watch. It really, really was. But you have Indiana, you have Trace Jackson Davis get that layup with 28 seconds left. 28 seconds left. He makes a shot that ties the game at 62. And Boo Buie comes down. I think it was a little more than 28 seconds. It's 28 seconds is what it's in the log at. But it was a little bit sooner than that. And keep in mind, Northwestern had a 4-point lead. Inbound, and they give up a bucket to Indiana. Then trying to inbound the basketball, they can't do it. Trace Jackson Davis ties the game. Boo Buie has the ball, and there's like a 1.7, 1.6 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Boo Buie dribbles out, and then he gets to the paint. He sheds a guy. You can talk about whether you believe it's a push-off or not, but he hits the bucket. There was no call, and Boo Buie hits the game winner. Boo Buie was so big in that second half, and for a large stretch of it, it felt like he was the only guy who kept his cool. But credit to him, because without Boo Buie, this would have been the most embarrassing collapse of the season by Northwestern, and it would not have been close. Because they had this team. They had this Indiana team was on the ropes. Nothing was going their way. And Northwestern just like kind of lost its composure. I mean, and after the game, Chris Collins said that he thought his guys were running on fumes, energy-wise and emotionally. I guess that's what it was, but you had some veterans on this team just kind of lose their minds and just not play very smart basketball down the stretch, and it was ugly. But you hang on. You hang on, and that is the key. That is the biggest thing. Just a second, we're going to talk about what this means for Northwestern and the postseason play. We're going to talk about that. But first, we want to thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. For your second listen, check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear from big-name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. And again, I'll be on tomorrow's episode. I don't know which segment Andy has me lined up for, but we talked some Northwestern earlier today. Good to see Northwestern getting some shine, some much-needed shine after what has been a truly remarkable season as they find themselves. They were 47 in the KenPom coming in. I just find this really hilarious. I want to bring it up. They were 47 in the KenPom going into that game, playing a team that is still, after the loss, top 20 in KenPom. And I think this is a credit to, this is because of how just brutal that second half was. But Northwestern moved from 47 to 46 in the KenPom with that win. But it's another quad one win. It really wasn't much favorable in the net rankings as they moved from 43 to 43. But they picked up another quad one win, 7 quad one wins. That puts them in a category where I think they are tied for, going into tonight, they were tied for 6th, I believe, in quad one wins with Purdue and basically a bunch of Big 12 schools being the only ones that have more quad one wins. So impressive feather in the cap for Northwestern. CBS Sports updated their bracketology this morning. Northwestern all the way up as a 5 seed, might feel a hair high considering where they've been. A 5 seed in the Midwest paired with 12 seed Utah Valley. The 4 and 13 seeds that they're paired with are Xavier and Bradley. And the 1 seed at the top of the brackets, Kansas, with Michigan State and NC State could be the potential options in that Sweet 16 matchup if they were to get there. I believe the 16 seed play-in game is Alcorn State and Howard as it stands right there. Other notable teams in this bracket, Rutgers, a Rutgers team that Northwestern maybe should have beaten earlier this year. UCLA is the 2 seed. Gonzaga is the 3 seed. Kind of a tough draw there, to be honest with you. You also have TCU as the 6th seed, and your 2 11 seeds right now are Arkansas, who, I'll be honest with you, with the way that team is going to get healthy and that team is going to be dangerous, would not want to be in a region with them. And Wisconsin, interestingly enough, Wisconsin's a fascinating one at 15 and 10 and number 77 in the net rankings. I'm just fascinated that they are on that list of teams in that region with Northwestern. But things are looking up. You basically clinched the NCAA tournament with that win last night. I mean, it seems like it is all but a done deal. You just cannot brutally collapse down the stretch. You basically just can't lose out. You need to win a couple more games here. You're going to have a great opportunity to get some revenge on Iowa on Sunday in a home game in that matchup. An Iowa team that I don't think is in quad one status right now. They are 9 spots out of that for a home game. but you've got Iowa, at Illinois, at Maryland, who just picked up a huge win tonight against Purdue. Purdue's now dropped 3 out of 4. Penn State at home, and then away at Rutgers to wrap up the season. Just win a couple, I guess. Beat Penn State and win one of the other 4, and you're 100% in the tournament at that point. Projected record at this point in time, according to KenPom, is 21-10 and 12-8 in the Big Ten. But right now, this Northwestern team is so low in the Big Ten at number 2. That is absolutely huge. Closing the gap on Purdue a little bit. We're going to talk more about that probably tomorrow as we talk about this matchup with Iowa this weekend, as Northwestern tries to get some revenge in that one. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every single day. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. And we are also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there wherever you are listening. Make sure you're subscribed and you turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. I'm your host, Carter Bird. You can follow me on social media at CarterBird13. And I'll see you all next time.